Hey, welcome back to my podcast. And today's episode is inspired by National Simplicity Day, which really takes a focus on less is more, that maybe we need to be getting rid of all the clutter in our lives in order so that we can experience more joy. And I think that really sits well with how I feel about menopause support today. I think the wellness industry has completely overcomplicated menopause well-being, making us think that we need to invest in expensive supplements or follow fatty, restrictive diets, when I think that's so far from the truth. I think if we focus on getting the basics right, the foundation of our diet and lifestyle, that can have a significant impact on how we experience menopause. And that's what I cover in today's episode. So let's dive on in. Enjoy. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Julie, also known as the Essex Menopause Coach, and I support women to go from anxious and overwhelmed to confident and thriving using my simple solutions method. At the time of recording this episode, it's National Simplicity Day, and I thought that this just completely fits in with everything I'm all about and how I work. So we know that around 85% of women will experience symptoms of menopause, and of those, around about 25% will experience more debilitating symptoms. Despite that, I am a firm believer that menopause can be a truly transformative time. And I know this from both my own experience and from my 6 years as a menopause coach. I have talked about my own experience of perimenopause on an earlier episode. So if you're interested in hearing a little bit more about that, because it has shaped the service that I now offer, I will put a link to that episode into the description so you can go check that one out for yourself. But basically, having been in the grips of perimenopause and some really symptoms that grind you down, when you're not sleeping, when you're losing your confidence because you can't think straight. It's really enabled me to put all of my knowledge and skills to the test and basically use myself as my own guinea pig. So there was a silver lining to all of that. And today, I don't really have any symptoms, not unless, my hormones are fluctuating a bit naturally anyway. But I suppose I don't worry about that so much now because I know what's happening. And I suppose the question I get most is, well, what do I need to do so that I can feel like that too? And that's what we're going to go through today, keeping with the theme of Simplicity Day. So I'm going to go through some really simple dietary and lifestyle tips can have a significant impact on how you feel and are super easy for you to go away and put into place so that you can begin to make a change, and quite rapidly too. So the bits we're going to focus on today are dietary changes and stress management. Another big aspect of that is HRT, but not everyone wants to go that route. And HRT isn't a magic bullet either. You need to have these other parts of the jigsaw puzzle here for you to have your best experience and the easiest ride through perimenopause and menopause. And as I say, it's essential that we have both the nutrition and the stress management. As we progress through perimenopause and menopause, ovaries, the output of estrogen, progesterone begins to decline. But of course, our body's got a backup plan. We've been going through this for millennia now. So your adrenal glands are able to produce another type of estrogen, really, to take up the slack and make your ride that little bit smoother. But perimenopause and menopause tends to strike us at a time when maybe we are the most stressed we are ever going to be. And your adrenals can't prioritize this output of sex hormones when we're constantly pumping out cortisol, adrenaline, therefore making your experience much more difficult. And we know as well that we are not so resilient to those stress hormones as well, and that's because we're losing that protective effect of estrogen. And when your body can't obtain that, it seeks it out from elsewhere, and your fat cells are able to produce another type of estrogen, although maybe not quite so helpful, and that contributes to that weight gain that some people refer to as meno belly, that shift from your thighs and your bums more towards your abdomen. So although you might think that this is frustrating, it's actually your body trying to support you. Add into this that when we are chronically stressed, we see that our blood glucose levels become more raised, and that's not good for us now in terms of symptoms, but also in terms of looking at protecting our long-term health too. So it's really essential that we do what we can with our diet, with our lifestyle, and to help support this. With my clients, I like to focus on breath work as a way to help support their nervous system. It's a really amazing tool because we're breathing all of the time, and it's one of the few ways that we can have control over our nervous system so that we can effectively take ourselves out of that fight, flight, freeze state and move more into that rest and digest mode, that our hormones and our bodily functions are working as optimally as they can. And if you're interested in breathwork side of things, then there's a couple of podcast episodes that you might want to check out too. And again, I'll put them into the description. If it's something you might want to experience in person and you're completely new to breathwork, I've got a introduction to breathwork session. It's a 1-hour session that's going to be in Brightlingsea, Essex on the 1st of September. And that's really limited places, give you that really personalised experience. So if you're interested in that, just pop me an email or DM and I'll put all my contact details in the notes. Okay, so moving on to the dietary aspects. So these are things that there's going to be no surprises here, but making sure you put them into action is going to make a huge difference. So let's start with liquids. So making sure you are staying hydrated enough can help you with anxiety, headaches, sleep issues, fatigue, skin dryness, help improve your sweats, joint pain. So there's such a wide range of symptoms that you can improve just by keeping on top of your hydration levels. Okay, so how do we go about this in the day? Are you someone that as soon as you wake up in the morning, you're straight starting your day with a tea or a coffee? You're setting yourself up for disaster. When we wake up, our cortisol levels are on the rise, and that's completely natural. It's part of the reason that we wake up in the morning. But we're already way more susceptible to cortisol, as I touched on earlier, because of decline in estrogen, which offers us protective effects. So if you are someone that suffers with stress, anxiety, and that irritability, you are already going to be building on to that load that you're experiencing. So I'm not saying no, full stop, to coffee, but what I am saying is let's just not start the day with it straight away. So have a herbal tea, a decaf tea or coffee, a glass of water, maybe a hot water and lemon. And that'll be really helpful because we're already waking up dehydrated from a whole night of sleep. So having that is going to help set you up right for the day. I'm not saying no to coffee, but have it maybe when you're having your breakfast, so your cortisol levels are dropping off, and having it with the food is going to help balance that out on your body. Having a look at what time you actually stop consuming your caffeine. So if you are someone that drinks tea, coffee all day, every day, it's no wonder that it's going to be impacting your sleep and increasing your symptoms. So, we know sleep is already really elusive. So anything that we can do to support that is going to be helpful, isn't it, right? I always remember a particular client that I worked with who said to me that they've always drunk tea their whole entire life, all day, and they know it doesn't have an impact on their sleep. But they went away and tried this for just 2 days, and on the 3rd day rang me and was like, "Julie, you can't believe this, I'm sleeping." And all that they changed was stopping drinking caffeine by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, if you're stopping drinking caffeine, you're ramping up the amount of fluids that you're taking on in the afternoon. While we're on that subject, making sure that you're sleeping better means better blood sugar control for you, which means reduced cortisol, which then means reduced symptoms for you. So if you carry a water bottle around with you in the day, I find that incredibly useful. I always take one in the car with me when I'm going shopping, and always make sure that I've drunk it by the time I come back. It's always better to sip over like a certain amount of time than to down a whole amount. Your body can just utilize it way better in that way. There was a study recently as well to help back this up that showed that mild dehydration in middle-aged people reduced attention, focus, um, and about a third of all the participants in the research were dehydrated at any one time. And they weren't they weren't like particularly, going to do gym workouts, working really hard. These are people just going about their ordinary, everyday activities. So if you find yourself struggling to focus when you're at work, you feel like the brain fog is setting in. How about you go and get yourself a glass of water instead, give it 20 minutes and come back to it and see how you get on. You might find that has a significant impact. Alcohol, I'm not even going to bother talking about alcohol. We all know that we should be moderating and the benefits of doing that. So that's one for you to take care of separately. Okay, balanced meals. So making sure you balance your meals can give you increased energy, reduce your brain fog, improve mood swings, dips, reduce your anxiety, improve sleep. So why would you not want to work on that? So when we eat, it's natural for our blood sugar to rise and fall. But what we want to see is gentle hills rather than big mountains and then steep drop-offs. If you find that you get cravings or you're hungry an hour or two after your meal, it could well be linked to a blood sugar crash that you're experiencing from the last thing you ate. So this would be something you'd want to look at. I also get asked a lot about fasting protocols and what my thoughts are on that. And I don't really recommend these, particularly during perimenopause when your body's already stressed and then you're loading more stress onto an already stressed body. And when we're stressed, we tend to be a little bit more depleted in certain vitamins and minerals. So what we need to be doing is really nourishing ourselves and working on that foundation to get a really strong base to be coming from. And fiber is really important as well. So what I tend to find with the fasting is that people end up missing meals, which means you're getting way less of all those nutrients that they need, and fiber, all of which are really important to supporting your experience. Research shows us that a Mediterranean style diet is the most supportive diet out there, and we should be aiming for around about 3 balanced meals a day. And if you use the visual guide of half veg, quarter protein, quarter carb, then you're roughly getting the balance of your meals right. And most people that I work with find that they are nowhere near meeting that balance, and just having that visual guide makes it so much more easy for them, and they're really surprised at the difference in their symptoms and improvement they feel in energy, in getting rid of that brain fog and taking off the edge off of that anxiety. So that might be something you want to work on. And you should be able to go 4 or 5 hours without feeling the need to snack. So, I mean, it's okay to be a little bit hungry in between meals, but if you're ravenous, then you need to make sure you're getting that balance right. Okay, and lastly is gut health. So gut health has a whole body impact. But we know there's lots of research around the support it provides with anxiety, depression, and low mood. About 90% of serotonin is produced in the gut. And we know that the microbiome takes a huge hit as your hormone levels dip. So it's something we really need to focus on to support you. More plant variety equals more diversity in your gut, which means less symptoms for you. There's a trial called the SMILES trial that really emphasizes the connection between your gut and anxiety. So how can you improve that? Cooking from scratch. Even if you don't cook much now, just cooking 1 meal a week will make a huge difference. You think 1 meal a week over the course of a month, over a year will be huge. Making sure you incorporate probiotics. Now, I'm not talking expensive supplements. I'm thinking things like kimchi, kefir, Greek yogurt, and there's loads of other ones out there. And by including loads of different plants, we were aiming for about 30 a week. You'll be getting loads of prebiotic in there, which is all that fiber that you need. And that includes seeds, nuts, herbs, spices. So it's a lot easier than you think to pack these in. Now, there's nothing new or sexy there, right? So why don't we do it? And I think that's because when we are feeling at our lowest, we are looking for a quick fix and an answer. We're looking for someone to take control of it for us. But what you end up doing is you gather your motivation and then you throw everything at it for a few weeks, and you've got no idea what's working for you and what isn't. So if you go back and you just pick one of these things that we've talked about today to work on for the next few weeks, and then you can really draw that connection between what's working and what isn't. And you can start to make progress and make headway. And your brain loves that. So when you feel good, your brain wants you to do more of that. So a little quick exercise for you is to go through the things we talked about today. Which one really excites you? Which one would be easy for you to go away and implement, like from tomorrow? And that's your starting point. Keep it simple, and it's going to be really easy for you to implement change. So that's it. Thanks so much for listening today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Please rate it if you're listening to it on audio. Share with a friend or someone you know. But I would also love any feedback, any comments. But as always, I really appreciate you tuning in. So until next time, bye.